Hi, I'm Siddharth,
I'm Aditya.
I'm Vishal.
and today we're going to be presenting the psychology of humor.
So picture this, you and your friends are enjoying a great inside joke, and someone walks up and asks what the joke's about. You explain the joke, and now it's ruined. This is exactly what we hope to avoid in our presentation while we dissect the psychology of humor.
So, why do we pick this topic? We actually have a great deal of experience with humor, especially in that we have made a lot of jokes and more often than not been on the receiving end of a lot of jokes, and that kind of made us want to learn more about this topic.
So we wanted to start with a bit of an interactive. So on each of the following slides, you'll see a template of a meme, and then after that, we'll give you two choices, at which point you'll be able to choose which of them better fits the template, and then we'll give you the right answer. So to start, this is your first template, and after you see the two choices, Alright, so if you want to pause your video for a second and choose which of these better fits the template. Okay, so you probably chose choice A, which is this. And now we'll go to the next one.
Okay, so this is the template we'll be using for the next meme matching activity. If we go to the next slide, we'll see our options. Take a second to see what you think better fits the meme. What did you choose? If you chose A, congratulations, you were right. So now let's learn a little bit about humor itself. Why do we laugh? I know what you're thinking. We laugh because something's funny, right? Well, in fact, that's not the whole story. There's a real evolutionary reason for us to laugh. In prehistoric times, when people laughed, it showed that the society was functioning well. So this makes laughter and humor a largely social activity, which is why in TV shows they use things like laugh tracks, which makes people more inclined to laugh as well.
So telling jokes is a pretty risky business. There's a fine line between hilarious and offensive. And while this depends on the situation at hand, there are some general theories which govern what we find funny.
So one of the very first theories that was made about humor was by Aristotle way back in ancient Greece. So he believed that we found humor in other people's misfortunes. So for example, even today, people sometimes find it funny if you tie people's shoes together, because of when they fall, sometimes you laugh. So that's basically what Aristotle was trying to get at. Another theory is called the relief theory, which was created in the 1700s. And this theory basically explained that humor release stress both psychologically and physiologically. So for example, if somebody is stressed about a test that they're about to take, they might enjoy humor because it might make them feel better.
Okay, and now we come to our good old friend Sigmund Freud, who explained humor in his own way, which was that it's a method for us to release our inner desires. And more often than not, Freud dealt with sexual desires, which means this explains dirty jokes pretty well, but this can be applied to other jokes as well.
Now, arguably, some of the funniest jokes come from things that surprise us and things that don't fit in. For example, according to the benign violation theory, we find things most funny when they violate our schemas, but not so extremely that we find them horrific. Let's see an example now. Please pause this video and watch an example of Mr. Bean, the master of physical comedy. So what you just saw was the superiority theory and incongruity theory. We felt bad for Mr. Bean, aka the superiority theory, and there were so many unexpected events that arose in this clip, aka the incongruity theory.
So as with many of the behaviors that humans exhibit, there's also a biological aspect to humor and how the brain works in terms of humorous episodes. So first of all, there is a name for the physiological study of laughter, which is called gelotology. And EEG and fMRI scans can be used to analyze the brain during humorous episodes. So to start, the angular gyrus is activated when you read a joke off a paper. And in another aspect, Wernicke's area can be activated if you're listening to someone else tell you a joke. Next, the medial ventral prefrontal cortex in the frontal lobe is activated when you're trying to understand why a joke is funny. And lastly, the motor cortex is activated to create a physical response to the humorous stimulus, and this can be expressed in terms of laughter.
To not be that person who doesn't get a joke, you have to first relate the joke to your existing schemas, and then identify any incongruities or unexpected events in the joke. And finally, most importantly, you have to inhibit the literal aspect of the joke and accept the creative aspect. This also explains why older people tend not to understand our jokes, because they not only have different schemas, but also may not have the fluid intelligence required to produce the multiple interpretations required to understand a joke.
So how does this impact us? Well, it turns out laughter can be pretty important in our lives. Some studies have found that just 20 minutes of laughter a day can significantly improve short-term memory recall, which is the reason why you're going to remember this presentation over all the others.
And having a good sense of humor is also correlated with having a high emotional intelligence and a high intelligence quotient. Take Mr. Bean, for example. His IQ is 178.
And humor typically has the effect of making us feel better in the moment. And feeling better in general can lead to the feel-good, do-good phenomenon, which essentially states that if we feel better in the moment, then we'll be more willing to do socially acceptable good behaviors. And also, it's been interesting to note how humor has evolved since way back in ancient Greece when Aristotle first took note. And it'll be interesting to see how humor continues to evolve in the future as methods of expressing humor change. And if there's one thing that you should take away from this presentation, it's that
Humor is no laughing matter. And finally, here we have some literature recommendations for further learning about this topic. I personally find the one in the center to be the most enlightening. And
Thank you for your time.
And thank you. If you have any questions, please hold on to them.